Hi everyone, welcome back to my number sense series. In this video, we're going to talk about how to convert fractions to percentages. So you might remember that in our last video, we talked about how to convert percentages into fractions. And that was really easy because really percentages are just fractions in disguise. So by similar logic, converting fractions into percentages should be easy because percentages are once again just fractions in disguise. And this is indeed how it works. Because what is a percentage? Remember that the word percent literally just means over 100, right? So in order to convert a fraction into percent, we just have to change the denominator of the fraction into a 100, and then our answer in percent will be just the numerator. For example, 57 over 100 equals 57%. So how can we convert this into something over 100? Well, we're going to do the thing that we usually do with fractions, and it's multiply them by 1, right? If I multiply 3 over 8 by 100 over 100, this gets us kind of close to getting a denominator of 100, right? But it's not all the way there, because then our denominator would be 800. So instead of doing this, we'll just do 3 over 8 entirely on the top times 100 over 100. That way, this over 100 just translates to percent, so our answer is 3/8 times 100%. And this makes sense because percent is once again just over 100 times 100 over 100, those cancel, and it's still just 3/8. So now we just have to say, okay, what's 3/8 times 100? Well, there's a few ways we can do this. The first way that we can do this is to remember the decimal expansion of 3/8. 3/8 equals 0.375. So times 100% equals 37.5%. The other way you could do this is to convert 3 over 8 times 100 into a fraction, right? That would be 300 over 8, which is 75 over 2, which is 37.5. Add a percent at the end, same thing. So really, in summary, the process to convert a fraction into a percentage is just multiply the fraction by 100 and then add percent at the end. That's it. So let's get some practice. 6 over 5. Okay, well, let's just think about it. What's 6 over 5 times 100? Well, we don't necessarily have to do 600 over 5. You can absolutely do that. We can also just notice that 5 on the bottom, 100, they cancel and make 20. 6 times 20 is 120%. And that is just our answer. Now, you're not always going to have nice integer answers like that. For example, 1/3. Now, of course, 3 is not a factor of 100. So 100 over 3 isn't going to be a finite decimal. Usually in number sense, when you get something like this, they want you to write it as a mixed number. And how can we get a mixed number? Well, usually we just get a mixed number from its improper fraction. In other words, we're going to have to do something like 300 over 8, which we didn't do over here. So let's think about it. What's 1/3 times 100 as a mixed number? Well, this is just a really basic, exercise in mixed numbers. 1 over 3 times 100 is just 100 over 3. Well, now you just think, how many times does 3 go into 100? And after a little bit of thought, we can answer that it's just 33. And of course, we know how to convert into mixed numbers. It just leaves us with 1/3%. So that is how we would answer that. Do not try to write the decimal expansion out. It's pretty likely that they'll accept a mixed number or specifically ask for it. So something pretty similar, 3/7. Now this is a little bit harder, and I would say there are 2 ways to do this one. There's always kind of 2 ways to do these, but here it's a little bit more obvious, and I think it's kind of cool. Now the first way is, of course, is to just do what we did here, convert it into an improper fraction, and then from there convert it into a mixed number. Now 3/7 as an improper fraction, 300 over 7 would be the improper fraction, sorry. So how many times does 7 go into 300? Well, 7 goes into 280 40 times. After that, we have 20 left over, so it'd be 14. So 7 would go into 300 42 times. Unfortunately, you won't have scratch paper during the test, so you can't do long division. But if you are proficient in doing kind of approximate division in your head, you can kind of figure this out. And so this would give you 42 with a remainder of 6, and so you'd have 6/7%. Now there is a second way to do this, and that is by remembering what is the decimal expansion of 3 over 7. Well, we might remember from our other video that 3 over 7 is 0.428571, all of that repeating, right? Now let's look at this. Of course, we have our 42% over here, but after that we have an infinite decimal, right? How does that infinite decimal go? It goes 428571 . So It's 42 plus something. But what is this infinite decimal? Remember, the property of like 1 over 7, 2 over 7, 3 over 7, those things, is that they are really just kind of like shifted, right? This is like 3 over 7 shifted a little bit. So this is also something over 7. And actually, this is just 6 over 7. So we can recognize this 0.85714 thing as 6 over 7, and we could just write 42 and 6 over 7. Personally, I prefer to do it using the improper fraction to a mixed number way, but you can also do this if you like to think of it that way during the contest. Now our last question, once again, there are kind of two ways to do this, but my preferred one is once again just to take an improper fraction and convert it into a mixed number. So here, 1/9, convert it into a percentage, that's 100 over 9%. So 100 over 9, what is that? Well, once again, it's really just division. So how many times does 9 go into 100? It goes into it 11 times, so it's going to be 11 with a remainder of 1 because 99, 1 over 9%. So that is, in general, how to convert any fraction into a percentage. And it's really easy because, once again, a percentage is really just a fraction. And a fraction is kind of a percentage, just with a different denominator. So in general, just remember, to convert a fraction into a percentage, multiply the fraction by 100, and then just add percent at the end. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.